Chances are, if you've ever wanted to build an addition to your house, have a garage sale, or hold a protest, you've encountered the difficulties of obtaining a permit, a government permission slip that is required before engaging in activities that are often peaceful and safe, or even constitutionally protected. Basic freedoms that were at one point zealously guarded are now restricted on the basis of permits. These permits, and thus your freedoms, can be withheld by government red tape, impossible tediousness, and confusing inconsistencies. Here's just a few examples that illustrate the problem with permits. One Utah man and his wife had been renting out their travel trailer for several years without incident when they realized that this practice technically required a permit. They applied for a business permit and the county collected the $100 fee but rejected their application, providing no reason for the rejection and no opportunity for resubmission. Another Utah resident was unable to heat his home in the cold of December while waiting for a permit of approval for a gas line pressure gauge. One young couple needed some extra cash to afford their mortgage, so they remodeled their house to rent out the basement. They applied for the appropriate permissions to do so, but never heard back. Even after repeatedly contacting the city, the couple's plans were delayed for months because the city wouldn't respond and provide them the permission they legally needed to move forward. Another homeowner was planning to route power to their already existing cabin, but after following all of the rules, their plans were denied. Though other neighboring properties were able to obtain the appropriate permissions, this particular homeowner was denied without any clear justification behind that decision. Requiring a permit provides an opportunity to make sure that things are done safely, but when left unchecked, it can also become a tedious process, fraught with delays and susceptible to corruption. Many of these problems could be resolved if those requiring a permit had to follow a few basic rules. First, any permitting process must include clear criteria for whether the permit will be granted or denied, rather than an ambiguous standard that creates wiggle room for misunderstanding or abuse. Subjective and arbitrary rules are a serious threat to freedom. They allow government agents to adjust their position depending on the circumstance, which keeps people from knowing what is and isn't legal. When that's the case, people run the risk of being trapped or surprised no matter what they do. Second, the process must include an explicit deadline for when the government will decide whether to grant or deny the permit. One of the greatest problems with permits occurs when governments can delay their decision for long periods of time, effectively denying the permit without ever having to provide a reason why. Lastly, in cases where the applicant believes the government wrongly denied the permit, the applicant must have an opportunity to appeal the denial to a court of law. Without this opportunity for redress, government employees can deny any permit with no check on their powers. Some cities and counties already strive to live up to these principles when dealing with permits, but in too many other jurisdictions, it simply isn't a reality. There must be proper limits in place regarding how governments can prohibit activities by requiring you to obtain their permission. If we care about government accountability, it's critical that these 3 rules be put in place statewide. Government employees should not be able to wield arbitrary or ambiguous powers over the people they are supposed to serve. Utahns deserve to have reasonable, consistent, and clear rules on how, when, and to whom permits will be granted. For Libertas Institute, I'm Erin Christensen.